The world is drowning in debt. But who's owed? Right now, the global economy is on shaky ground. Almost every country is in debt. The U.S. owes over $38 trillion, Europe around $14 trillion, Japan nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich nations are believed to be wealthy, and major exporting powers look rich on paper. But in reality, everyone is in debt. Here's the strange part. If everyone owes money, who exactly are they owing it to? Who is this invisible creditor? Debt. Not just a burden, but the core of the system. Debt isn't merely a burden, it's the skeleton of the modern world. Wars, crises, economic booms, and collapses all spin on this invisible web called debt. Follow the chain long enough, and you'll realize something unsettling. The world doesn't owe money to anyone in particular, it owes it to itself. But not everyone benefits equally from this system. It all began with war. Debt wasn't born on Wall Street, it was born on the battlefield. In 1694, while at war with France, England ran out of gold. The king told merchants, "Lend me money and I'll pay you back with interest." That's how the Bank of England was founded. The state could now spend money it didn't have. In return, lenders received government guarantees, what we now call bonds. Thus, modern finance was born. That system spread across the world over the centuries. From that moment on, the power to borrow became the power to rule. Where does all this debt go? Today, the U.S. owes $38 trillion, but most of it isn't to foreign countries. 2/3 is held by Americans themselves, banks, funds, pension accounts, and the Federal Reserve. Only 1/3 is held by foreign investors. So, in essence, America owes itself. Globally, the same pattern repeats. Japan lends to the U.S. to Europe, Europe to developing nations. And those nations reinvest their earnings in U.S. bonds. It's a massive loop where everyone says, "I owe you." As long as no one stands up from the table, the game goes on. Markets, the real power brokers. The true power lies not with governments but with markets, hedge funds, pension funds, central banks. They decide who can borrow and who survives. If they lose faith in a country, its currency collapses and governments fall. Democracy decides who governs. Markets decide who gets to exist. Central banks, the modern magicians. Central banks don't just manage debt, they create it. When they buy government bonds, they create new money. Every dollar in existence represents someone's debt. There's no such thing as debt-free money. Each banknote carries an invisible contract of obligation. The system runs purely on trust. As long as investors believe governments will pay interest, it works. But when that belief breaks, think Greece, Argentina, Sri Lanka, the dominoes fall. Nobody's really paying their debts today. Governments don't borrow to repay. They borrow to roll over debt. New loans pay off old ones. It's called refinancing. The goal isn't to erase debt, but to keep it spinning. Because if debt were actually paid off, the system would collapse. If the U.S. cleared its debt, dollars would vanish, markets would crash, and the global economy would stall. So governments don't control debt, they control confidence. As long as the system seems sustainable and credible, everything keeps turning. The real debt. Money flowing upward. When we say the world owes itself, remember, not everyone's in the same position. Interest payments flow upward, from taxpayers and workers to banks and investment funds. Debt isn't just between nations. It's a system that channels money from the poor to the rich. That's why inequality grows hand in hand with debt. Final thought. Debt is no longer just a financial concept. It's the invisible core of money, power, and trust. Governments create it, banks multiply it, and we all live within it. Once debt meant slavery. Now it means stability. But if that balance ever breaks, we'll all remember one thing. Debt is a promise that can't last forever.